god! Oh my god!
Hi!
Oh.
Hi! Hi!
I'm trying to TikTok! I'm on your TikTok!
At some point in your time on the internet, you've likely heard the song Megalovania. Even the first 4 notes, no matter where they're played, seem to cause a sort of visceral response from audiences everywhere. Some jam out, some feel like throwing up, but no matter what, everyone seems to know exactly where it's from. As a musician, I get to hear child after child attempt to play it at varying levels on the keyboards in storefronts and on house pianos. Countless covers and remixes, the entire world heard and seemingly loved this song. But it came from something different, something darker, something cringe. Fandoms are not a foreign concept to the internet. Time after time, a game, a community, even entire websites can find themselves sprawling with people in endless support. Music, cosplay, fanfiction, all of it comes with the territory of popular media. Games like Minecraft have developed entire series of conventions. Anime contains a global culture of followers with sublets of communities within itself. The entirety of Tumblr seemed to be divided between Doctor Who, Sherlock, and Supernatural, or any combination of the 3 for like 6 years. But something about these things always seems to feel off, to feel outside the norm, as the internet so lovingly calls it, cringe. I grew up with the internet. I saw the advent of Facebook and YouTube. I've lived through the days of Newgrounds Flash games and the start and finish of Club Penguin and old RuneScape. I've seen and been involved with countless communities over the years, but somehow, no matter what people seem to enjoy, there seem to be even more people calling it childish, abnormal, even weird to like these things. And I want to talk about that. I grew up on the internet and surrounded by video games, movies, TV shows, and loads of other modern media. While most of what I enjoyed was considered pretty normal by the internet standards, I did find myself enjoying shows like Doctor Who. I did play a lot of Minecraft with my friends, and while I didn't really get any hassle from people in my personal life, luckily, the internet had other stories to say. I was grouped in with people who sexualized characters, made less than family-friendly content involving men who are written as brothers, people who dressed up in diamond armor at school and screamed, "Go to Nether!" at bullies and whatnot. I didn't partake in these activities, but it always baffled me that these people hate what I loved so much, that they wouldn't even consider playing certain games because of some cringy kids. I was grouped in with those cringy kids, but at first, I was okay with it. My thought was, well, they're just missing out on this awesome thing. I know I'm not like that, so I just get to enjoy it and not be cringy. But time went on, and the bullying continued. I kept getting random messages calling me slurs, making fun of me, all just because I was on forums for games I liked, just because I reblogged some of my favorite Doctor Who moments on Tumblr. The worst of the things I liked was a webcomic called Homestuck. To those of you unaware, Homestuck is a webcomic and universe created by writer and artist Andrew Hussey. It started way back in April of 2009, and while completely fictional, touched on themes of death, sex, bullying, peer pressure, sacrifice, all in a mystical sci-fi universe featuring aliens, Lovecraft, and a pile up to your neck of puppet dong. When I read it, it felt revolutionary to me. The depth, the attention to detail, the swath of characters that anyone reading could find relatable. They could pick favorites. Myriads of artwork, animations, music, and more story than all of the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings books combined. All of this came together into one incredibly massive undertaking that called millions of people to its reading. And with that wide of a fan base, so became the Homestuck fandom. Buckets, weird typing patterns, gray face paint, cosplay gatherings, and more gay fan art than I think has ever existed on the internet. It was a new era. But since most of the people who had time to read it were younger kids, of course the older high school students and young adults took it as yet another perfect opportunity to bully them about it. Entire series of cringe videos dedicated to the Homestuck fandom, erasure of Homestuck from forums, chat sites, game lobbies. Because I was a part of the group, someone who identified with a character and behaved like them, I was cast out as well. And so the Homestuck fandom retaliated not with war, but with its own community. New websites and community forums were created just for fans of the comic. Modded game servers in Minecraft, Gary's Mod, they embraced members of the community and they welcomed new people to join. Despite all of the bullying, despite the outcasting and the torment from the internet we all loved so much, the Homestuck fandom endured, and over time it seemed to integrate itself as its own little society on the internet. Not necessarily accepted, but tolerated. And that's an effect I still feel today. My friends and I joke about being cringy or doing stupid things when we were younger, even having used to like the worst of it, like Twilight fanfiction, My Little Pony, J.K. Rowling as a person. But while everything else seemed to be lighthearted, the so much mention of Homestuck still seems to bring up a lot of contention with my friends. Like they're repulsed by it, like it's some evil entity, when really it's just a sci-fi webcomic that takes a really long time to read. I've always loved talking with people about massive worlds and projects like Homestuck, but with this webcomic specifically, it's almost as though caution needs to be taken, because the moment it's mentioned, people assume I'm just gonna yell about cleaning tools, or start typing like a drunken whale flapping its fins on the keyboard and assuming people will understand. And therein lies my problem. Homestuck, in my opinion, is one of the most varied, incredible pieces of artwork from the age of the internet. So much love and passion poured in from Andrew Hussey and hundreds of other artists and creators. The success of Homestuck's music allowed composer Toby Fox to move on to create Undertale, a game completely torn apart by people fearing the fandom, when, in reality, it is a fantastic piece of art that I truly believe anyone can enjoy and should experience. I've had dozens of conversations with people who outright refuse to play Undertale, to read Homestuck, to just experience or play something simply because of the fandom associated. And honestly, that's really sad. Why wouldn't you want to expose yourself to a new genre of music, to find a new TV show to enjoy, to find new people to share interests with and build real bonds with? Why simply shut yourself off to artwork? Why call the entire Avengers series not cinema? Why give yourself less things to be happy about? As a quick side note, Megalovania slaps. I don't care how many kids I hear play the first few bars on the piano, they want to play it because it's awesome. And if you don't like it, you're wrong, because it's wrong to not like a thing that I like. Jokes aside, there are many people who take interest in things that I don't. There are a great deal of fandoms that I don't partake in. There are many pieces of popular media that I'm completely oblivious to. Some pretty huge examples come in the form of modern hip-hop, anime, superhero movies, and many others. While I have this sort of severed connection with the cultures surrounding them, I still understand the significance they have amongst individuals, communities, and ultimately, humanity as a whole. I may never buy a Super Sonico figurine, but I know plenty of people that would find it a momentous occasion to have one arrive in the mail. Furries are a huge example. For the record, I am not a furry. I don't identify with the fandom, I don't feel connected to any animals, nor do I have a fursona, but I can find an appreciation for the creative works done by the community. Many of my friends are in fact furries, and while my art journey probably won't take me anywhere near anamorphic colorscapes and wolf children fanimations, I still adore their works, and I'm always happy to hear from them and what they're getting up to. There is, however, a dark side to the furry community, and it seems to be the portion so commonly talked about by those outside its realm. Adult videos, zoophiles, abusers, underage artists exposing themselves and others to lewd, sexual content, bronies effectively ruining a kids' show. These are real issues, and they should be talked about, and they should be stopped. There are many horrifying behaviors that exist, and at no point should they be excused or validated. But another horrible behavior comes when people that don't know someone, when one of my friends, or God forbid, a kid who just likes drawing himself as a wolf, is suddenly bullied out of a passion that they love and care about, when these people can't be separated from the deplorable smaller percentage of those who ruin it for the greater masses. Anytime I've met a furry, they've been incredibly welcoming, friendly. Many of them are talented artists, musicians, writers, or otherwise. But the moment anyone mentions the word furry, half of a Discord server will usually gag in response, assuming all they do is sexualize animals. They don't see the blood, sweat, and tears that go into their art, into their writing, into the countless connections they've been able to gain, the lives saved, the relationships, everything positive. All they see is that negative percentage, and boom, the entire community is a cesspool. For a long time, I was incredibly elitist about my own interests. People had to like the games I liked and nothing else. If you like dubstep, you might as well listen to Scratching a Chalkboard. Any popular movie? It's pandering garbage, and you're a sheep to like it. I mean, what kind of a way to live is that? I shut myself out of so much, just to retain some gross level of, I know best, as if that would ever be appealing to someone. I avoided watching anime for a very long time, but some of my favorite shoes and movies are anime, even if I don't coat my walls with posters and figurines. I actively consume jazz, funk, and fusion music when a younger me would say, anything that isn't from the Romantic or late Classical era is a lazy interpretation of music. I chose not to interact with people because they were furries. I was an asshole. And while I still have a lot to learn, I mean hell, I still reel back a bit if a friend asks me to play League, I do accept that pieces of media, artwork, games, communities, they're not the sums of their worst parts. Undertale is not exclusively Sans X Papyrus fanfiction. League is an immensely popular game for a reason, even if some of its community is a little less than friendly. I don't care. Play Undertale. Read Homestuck. Watch anime. For God's sakes, make a fursona. Too often, people cut themselves off from entire swaths of media just because of some crap they read on the internet. You have a slew of new people to meet, new genres to enjoy, new art to create. Humanity is constantly evolving and learning, and by cutting yourself off, all you're doing is falling behind. All of this is basically an advertisement for me to say, please play Bad Rats: The Rat's Revenge. It is the greatest game of all time, honestly. It's fantastic. The story writing, Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. If you have any opinions that differ from my own, please feel free to let me know in the comments. I would love to talk with people probably smarter than me about these things. I'm always open to new opinions, and especially to anyone generous enough to give me their time. Thank you for sticking with me. If you do like my content, please consider subscribing, because I will be uploading more videos in the future, I promise. Thank you again for your time. Bye.